Welcome to Sheni V'Chamishi. I was standing outside this temple with my daughter, and then these people came over, this boy and her girl and the parents, and they asked me, can I help you take a picture? It was so nice the way they approached. If you're a Westerner, you're not used to this culture, you would be a little bit unsettling, but this is the way. And I said, no, I didn't want to take a picture. I'm just trying to connect my phone to a device that will enable the... So, anyway, here is... Oh, what's now? I found something interesting. Oh, you want to move? Okay, we'll move. Yeah. So this is a shrine that finds itself inside the Emperor's Garden. The Emperor's Garden finds itself in about the area of Shinbashu Station, next to the hotel. I walked from the hotel to here. You can see the hotel buildings in the back. It's the Emperor's Garden. It used to be private. The Emperor would sit with his friends. Big garden, and just for the chashiva, you know. So this is clearly made for Avodah Zarah. And everywhere I'm going, I'm looking at these beautiful things, and the shapes of it, reminds me of the Mishkan and the Hebrew, and of course, getting this, what do you call that? It's like a backwards swastika, almost like the Hindu symbol. And I have another one here. It has a little bit of Japanese on it, dates back. So it looks very similar to the swastika, but of course the difference between the Hindu symbol, which is, you see a swastika backwards. So the Third Reich Germans, they used it for, they switched it, so it's not the same thing. It's not the same, it's a rip-off, of course, and it's also, you see that it evolved from that 3-point to the 4-point. And when you see it, you're in a taxi or it's on your GPS, you see a symbol of a backward swastika. It means it's a temple, Avodah Zarah, in other words. So this is an old Inabu Shinto shrine. Shinto is the second religion of Japan. It's two Buddhism and Shinto is two religions. People worship both, just like before monotheism and before the prophets were going crazy killing people, people would worship Baal and then they would worship Yahweh. And I think even Yahweh wasn't such a war god at the time, because he had a Shira, he had a consort, a lover. And then you have Baal was more, I think, of a god that had like women priests. That's why the Hebrews were so into it, because it was more of a fun god. But in Japan they worship both. They go to both temples. Still today, if you take your child, if a baby's born, or you're going through a coming of age, marriage, something like that, so you would go, and there's priests and they do a ceremony. So, yeah. So this is so old that they're not sure even when it was constructed. It's not like what you see in... People would walk there. Interesting. Very small, but interesting. It's made, I guess, for the gods. I was thinking much about the Satmar boy molested and the news. It's a miracle that it's caught on camera. All I could say is nature is much older than the camera. Nature is much older than the camera. And, if you study the prophets, which is one thing I covered very well, so you understand mental illness. You look at Rabbi Berland, for example. Rabbi Berland is going to face, hopefully, face trial for his crimes. So he's a man that, if you watch his videos, how he teaches and how he runs the crowd, he has this delusional, and he hears voices, and he can't speak straight. He can't. He's always swaying. And why am I comparing? So, I personally remember a story with a Satmar Chassid that tried to get me to sit on his lap when I was young, but I was old enough to be able to say no, and to say something like not interested, and I was wild enough and chutzpahdik enough. So for me, it wasn't a problem. But if I would have been a little younger, I would have fitted in the lion's mouth, and that's how nature is designed. There's a temple not far from here. People sit and they drink tea. Westerners come, Australians, Europeans. They'll sit and you have some Westerners, and they'll drink tea in the garden, and the windows are open. And I thought, it's huge windows and everyone can look in, and I thought, wow, that's the way a holy place is meant to be. Transparency, not secretive, where you're on a mission to perfect the world, and then that leads to that's like monotheism. We're here to perfect the world, and then you go ahead and you become everyone's against you. Then you need walls, and then you need seclusion. Like one lady who had a Catholic church, school church, combined right across the street from my office, and the lady came to sell chocolates with her son. She worked for a law office nearby, and I said, yeah, I saw that church and I was interested what it's like. And she said, yeah, it's always locked. And I said, yeah, I see it's always locked and stuff. And she's for the security of the kids. I almost laughed because she could have finished off honestly saying, for the security of the kids from the dangers of the outside. But you're more likely to be you're more likely to get help if someone from the outside attacks you, because it's not so confusing, as opposed to if you said your own father or your teacher or a holy man abused you, and this holy man carries the responsibility of a big organization. You're likely you'll fit right into the lion's mouth. You know, the odds will be against you. You're so cute looking at me like that. You're so cute. So it's amazing. I remember watching, and I was so upset when I saw a TV cameraman speak to an old chassid, and he asked him if there's such a thing as abuses in Satmar, and he goes, never, no. Justification I would give, and the rationale, and I'd give it, doesn't mean we can't protect our kids. He thinks it's a mitzvah to lie to the guy and to protect the image and everything. But there's no guy and there's no yid. There's humans. There's good humans and bad humans. And the only thing religion can do is make good people behave badly and start behaving full of shit, and so you're just confusing yourself and your family and your kids. You could have a tradition, you could have 20 traditions, you could be a mix of Breslev, Lubavitch, and whatever you like. But you can't, if you're going to think that way, that there's this one perfect people, it's like Gaza Strip, where these boys say to the Hamas, what are you accomplishing with your fighting, and we're in the middle of this, and they say it's better to be killed by your brother than to be kissed by your enemy. This logic works only when you're brainwashing someone in a cult. It's completely ridiculous. Tokyo Bay, some nice boats.